Welcome back. In the last module, we learned about the physical infrastructure and network services that are used in an IT organization. In this lesson, we're going to discuss the other services that make up an IT infrastructure: the software and the platform services. Software services are the services that employees use that allow them to do their daily job functions. This can include applications like word processors, internet browsers, email clients, chat clients, and so on. Platform services provide a platform for developers to code, build and manage software applications. This way, developers don't have to deal with operating system maintenance and other services that are needed to use for the platform tools. When managing IT infrastructure, it's important that you implement software services for your users to enable their productivity. Depending on what type of company you may manage, you may also need to manage platform services for software developers. Software services include a wide range of functions. We'll cover the major ones here. First up is communication services, which enable employees in a company to talk to one another. Then, there's security services, which add a layer of security protection to our IT infrastructure. We'll also discuss user productivity services and some of the aspects of managing software in a business that you'll probably have to think about in your work. There's lots of software out there that's used for intercompany communication, like email or phone communication. These are important communication services, but in this video, we're only going to discuss software that's used in instant communication. Instant communication has drastically changed how we communicate in both our personal lives and in the workplace. We can have multiple conversations with different people in real time using chat applications. You probably use something like Facebook Messenger on your smartphones to chat with your friends. In a business setting, there are similar methods of instant communication. The first is Internet Channel Relay, or IRC, which is a protocol that's used for chat messages. IRC operates in a client-server model, so lots of IRC client software can be used to connect to an IRC server. IRC was widely used in the 1990s as a way to facilitate all kinds of chats, group chats, individual chats, and more. It's not as widely used today, given the wave of social media instant chat messages, but if you're considering setting up an IRC, it is a free alternative to other chat applications. Paid-for options are another method of instant communication. There are a lot more sophisticated and advanced chat applications out there that offer enterprise support. A few popular options are HipChat and Slack. You can read more about these in the supplemental reading. There are also other communication protocols called OpenIM protocols that are widely used and integrated into different communication applications. One of the most popular communication protocol is XMPP, or Extensible Messaging and Presence Protocol. It's an open source protocol used in instant messaging applications and social networking services. XMPP is even used in Internet of Things applications, among other things. A few popular and free applications that use XMPP are Pigeon and Adium. Feel free to check out more about these alternatives in the supplemental reading right after this video. Instant communication is a fantastic tool you can use to promote team collaboration and efficiency. When managing an IT infrastructure, it should be one of the communication services that you consider implementing for your organization. They'll definitely thank you, maybe even over instant communication. One communication service that you're almost guaranteed to use today is email. We use email for a wide range of communication. In an enterprise setting, it's important for a sysadmin or a sole IT support specialist to be able to configure email services for the company. To do this, you need to have a domain name set up for your company that you can use as your email domain, like devon@example.com. When you send or receive email, you want to use this email address. There are two ways to set up email for a company. The first is to run your own managed server. Using this option, you set up the email server software on a server. Then, you create a DNS record for your mail server. There are different DNS records. Remember that the A record is used for host names, but for email servers, we use MX for the mail exchange record. Email server setup can be one of the most complicated servers to set up for a sysadmin. You have to get the email to actually work, protect your email addresses from spam, filter out viruses, and more. If you'd like to learn more about setting up an email server, check out the next reading. An alternative approach to setting up your own email servers is to use an email service provider like Google Suite. These service providers allow you to create email inboxes and more by paying a monthly fee for every user in your organization. This ties you into the Gmail webmail client and allows you to access your email from anywhere, as long as you're connected to the internet. Whatever option you choose, you'll have to understand the differences between email protocols when you set up your email accounts. There are lots of email protocols out there, but we'll only do a rundown of the more common ones you'll hear about: POP3, IMAP, and SMTP. Post Office Protocol, or POP version 3, is an email protocol that downloads email from an email server onto your local device. It then deletes the email from your email server. If you want to retrieve your email through POP3, you can only view it from one device. There are a few reasons why you might want to use POP3 to get your email. If you need to keep your email storage under a certain quota, POP3 is a good way to maintain that storage limitation. Another benefit of POP3 is privacy. Your email can only be seen from your local device. If storage limitations and security are a concern for you, you might want to consider using POP3 over something like IMAP. Speaking of, IMAP, or Internet Message Access Protocol, allows you to download emails from your email server onto multiple devices. It keeps your messages on the email server. This email protocol is one of the more popular ways to retrieve email. Last up is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, or SMTP, which is a protocol used for sending emails. While POP3 and IMAP and other protocols can be used to retrieve email, there's really only one email protocol for sending email: SMTP. So there are lots of different email protocols that can be implemented depending on the email software you choose. You can read more about them in the supplemental reading. Email service is critical for any organization. Companies need to be able to contact clients and business partners and communicate internally. If you work in an IT support specialist role where you're handling system administration tasks, you will need to weigh the pros and cons of a dedicated email server or a cloud email service. Decisions, decisions, decisions. In any organization, the software that employees need to do their job is the software that an IT support specialist managing IT infrastructure needs to provide. Depending on the organization, you might need to get your users things like software development programs, word processing, graphical editors, finance software, and so on. Whatever software you provide, there are different things to consider when using it in a commercial setting that might not have crossed your mind when you've used a similar software personally. Remember when we discussed software licensing in an earlier lesson? When you use software, you're doing so under the agreement of the developer's license. For example, when you use open source software, the license agreement usually says that it's free to use, share, and modify. When software is used as a consumer, agreements can say that only a specific person can use the software. In a business or commercial setting, most software distributors will have a separate agreement. In most cases, you can buy 10 licenses and any 10 people in your company can use it. If someone leaves the company or doesn't need the software anymore, you can take their license and give it to someone else in the company. When considering software licenses, it's important to review the terms and agreements, then move forward with whatever option works best for your company. Things get a little more complicated when it comes to cloud software services. You might have to deal with some of the same stipulations and also think through whether to purchase added features for businesses and enterprises, like dedicated customer support. Whatever method you use to provide software, whether it's installing software on every machine or utilizing cloud software services, there's one thing to keep in mind: software used as a consumer won't be the same as software used as a business. The last software services that we'll discuss are security services. Security is super important to all organizations. It's integrated into pretty much all aspects of an IT infrastructure service. We'll dive deeper into this in the last course on IT security. For now, remember that there are lots of different security protocols that are put in place for all sorts of things, keeping data encrypted, authentication, etc. If you ever manage a web server that serves content to other users, you want to let them know that when they access your website, you're keeping their interaction with you as secure as possible. Let's say that you have an online bank account that you're logging into. The URL will most likely begin with an HTTPS. Remember that HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is used to format and transfer web content around the internet. When you enter in a URL, you notice that the HTTP comes before everything else. HTTPS, or Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, is a secure version of HTTP. It makes sure the communication your web browser has with the website is secured through encryption. HTTPS is also referred to as HTTP over TLS or HTTP over SSL. This is because there are two protocols that enable us to make our web servers secure. The first is Transport Layer Security Protocol, or TLS, which is the most popular way to keep communication secure over a network. TLS is widely used to keep web browsing secure, but it can be used in a lot of other applications too. We'll do a deep dive into the technical details of TLS in a later course. The second protocol is Secure Socket Layer Protocol, or SSL. It's a way of securing communication between a web server and client, but it's pretty old and insecure, so it's been deprecated in favor of TLS. You may still see its name being used to refer to the TLS protocol, like SSL/TLS. The two protocols are often used interchangeably. In fact, SSL version 3.0 was essentially TLS version 1.0, but TLS's new features and updates have made it more secure than SSL. So if you're managing an organization's website on a server, how do you enable TLS on the server so that the site can be using HTTPS? Well, you need to get a digital certificate of trust from an entity called a certificate authority. The certificate authority grants a certificate to your website saying that it trusts that you control the web server and verifies that you are who you say you are. Once it does that, you can install the certificate on your web server. That way, when users visit your site, they'll see the HTTPS in the URL instead of just HTTP. You will learn more about certificates and certificate authorities in an upcoming course. For now, think of certificates as a way to verify that something is trustworthy. Security is an integral part of IT, and it's not just the responsibility of security engineers. Everyone should be thinking about security, and all layers of your infrastructure should have a layer of security built upon them. There are lots of other security software that you could add to your IT infrastructure, which we'll dive into the last course. For now, it's a good idea to know the basics of keeping a web server secure with HTTPS.
Knowing what I know now, the advice I would give my younger self is to not be afraid to talk to people, because I'm very shy. And I think also, my imposter syndrome tells me, don't look stupid, right? Don't ask dumb questions, don't ask silly questions, don't ask questions at all. And I think what I would tell myself is, do your research, do your reading, teach yourself and educate yourself. Continue to do that, but it will speed up the process so much faster. If you can find somebody you trust to collaborate with, to learn with, and to really find that good mentor, so that as a student you always have somebody that you can lean on. I have imposter syndrome every time I walk in the door. Yeah, every morning. Gosh, I'm going to work at Google. I have a meeting with the following people. I can't believe I'm having a meeting with the following people. And again, I just try hard to focus on what I really want to get out of it, what I want the outcome to be. Because even if it goes spectacularly wrong, I'm still going to have learned something. Once you have a few past you, it's going to feel better. Right? And you're going to understand what the successes look like and how you get them. And you'll be able to repeat those patterns over and over again. But in the end, if you don't like doing that, or the outcomes don't sound interesting to you, find new outcomes, because you will eventually find that thing that really drives you and that you're passionate about.